Okay, my friends, Roger once again talking about baby poop. Well, I don't talk about that a lot, but it is very important, believe it or not. It's extremely important. So if you have a baby and he poops yellow or brown and it's sort of the consistency of peanut butter, that's pretty good. Now, it could be other colors, but the consistency is the key. If they have diarrhea-like consistency, or it can go the other way, I suppose, but the diarrhea is the one that I seem to be seeing now. What can be done about that, and what is the effect of that? If your baby has diarrhea all the time, is that an issue? Or is it just, it's okay? Well, sometimes it might be okay. I can't say it's not, but I can tell you one thing. I have heard from people that have that issue with their kids that they end up having autistic behaviors. That's what I'm hearing. So why not try to circumvent that if you can? Get ahead of it. And how can you do that? Let's take a look. It's the digestive system, trust me. All right, this came up. Now, I've been working with some people in Belfast primarily, and they have had success with autism and using probiotics and some chemistry, and I'm going to come down to it. Marguerite is going to make some statements in here. But nurses are getting personally against vaccines. Some, they say. Well, a lot of them are, because they know what happens. After these kids get shot up with this stuff, the next thing they know is, boop, they got a problem. And this person here, Cindy, said, how can a vaccination given to a 1-year-old be reversed? My grandson has changed since the vaccine was given. He's now just over 2, doesn't speak any words, bangs his head, and is not focused on anything. He's just lost. And this is what will happen with Marguerite's son, John Jr. Now, and I said, Marguerite, we need you, because I've been working with her for a couple of years, I think about maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And her son had absolutely terrible autism. And, well, here's what she says. She says, education, well, she said, I helped him. Education helped her son. And it sounds the same. You can't give children probiotics till 3.5. I didn't know that. And I still don't even know if that's fully true, to be perfectly honest with you. Somehow they're digesting something, and something is destroying that digestion. I've been searching with the page. We have a page to try to go through all this stuff, and she's been looking for something. And the probiotics brought my son, age 9.5, from nonverbal. He was nonverbal, just didn't do anything. He was stimming all the time. We were told he had no understanding. He can now talk, kick a ball. He has fun. So she says, please do something. Think about this. And these are the kind of things she's using, which is organic sulfur. And I don't know how much she's using. Castor oil is always good for skin conditions, primarily. Well, you know, that and deep muscular aches and so forth. And also, the oils I'm finding out now are just really critical in the digestion process. There's a lot of chemistry going on, but she's been giving them this probiotics, which is the Primal Defense by Garden of Life for the kids. And she gives them, you know, I think a little overdose on that, but it's proved to be just exactly what he needed. Now, and so she's going to be kicking in here and there. Now, and then I've been going through all the different, what is it that kids get when they're that young? What do they need? What makes them go? Well, again, she's also had several times he's had antibiotics. I said, has he ever had antibiotics? Yeah, he's got problems with his ears. The ears won't drain. Now, I know that's another issue where, because you're supposed to have fluids in your ears, but they're supposed to be able to drain. Why aren't they draining? That's the other issue. There's something in your body that's supposed to control that. Something's not controlling that. And this, I'm guaranteeing, well, I can't guarantee anything, but in my mind, to me, that is going to be another one of these bacterias that's in your body that creates a program that says, okay, go up and use this little chemistry up there to let out the fluids in your ear, or to open up the muscle there. There's a little, I think there's some kind of little sphincter muscle that closes up and so forth. I don't know that for a fact, but something up there is supposed to regulate that fluid. That job's not being done. There's where I would go instead of just putting drains in them and giving them antibiotics to kill things in your body. Now, what does antibiotics do? If you have bacteria in your body that's creating chemistry that is damaging you, yes, if you take antibiotics, they just wipe out everything in your body. So the things that are making the programs, because they're not actually going down there and biting into tissues and things by themselves, that bacteria. In most cases, I don't believe that's the case. I believe they are making a program which goes down and infects a cell, and it gets in the cell. They call it a virus, and it's not alive, and the program opens up in the cell says, all right, make a bunch of this stuff that the program said, send it out, and it'll kill a bunch of things out there. Well, it might go out and break up chemistry that is supposed to be broken up. But there's nobody there to stop it after it finishes breaking up the chemistry, and it starts breaking up the wrong chemistry after that. And then you have some kind of illness that takes over. But in my world, bacteria is the regulator, and bacteria is it creates programs. The bacteria doesn't do a whole lot other than create programs. The programs are viruses and enzymes. They're identical. And they go out and break things down. So now we're going down through Marguerite's talking about this, then how breastfeeding, and then now we're going into the diarrhea. What happens if the kid's got diarrhea? What happens if he's got a problem with the urine? So we need to look at the colors and the stool chart and how that's supposed to look. And then we're going down through, we get into this pretty deep. But, I've been working with Marguerite primarily. She's the one that's been doing the work. Her son is the one that was affected. And she's had a lot of people there in Belfast, I guess, also having the same results she's having. So they're having a little bit of a stir over there to thinking about, wow, this is something that actually does work. Because nobody put any confidence in this whatsoever, and they still don't. But there is confidence to be had here, because it is working. We have people. There's no question whatsoever it's working. And this is a page here: autism and gut health issues, possible solutions, and easiest help. Simple stuff. It's no big thing. We're not. There's no brain surgery or rocket science going on here. We're just supplementing body chemistry that has been attacked by medicine. We're trying to get healthy by being sick to start with and nibbling away at those little sicknesses. I say let's get healthy, and then there's no sickness to nibble away at. But you got to let your kids get, they got to get infected by what's around them in the beginning, and then they respond. My kids never had any antibiotics I can remember, and they never had. I never cleaned them up real good. I let them get dirty. I let them get scratched up, and I knew that it was happening, and I was happy about it. And they used to be in the water all the time and in the mud, and that's good. That's what I did when I was a kid. I was never sick. I'm still not sick now. So. You got to be part of the environment. You can't be isolated from the environment and then hope to just continue on about your life in some kind of bubble. It doesn't work. We're trying to say, oh, you can't have that, you can't get this, you can't get that. We're going to try to stop you by shooting something into you. This is not the way to go about it. I'm just telling you right now. I know it's going to still happen. There's nothing I can do about it. But it's not right. That's my statement. I don't care what you think. It is not right to try to override the natural responses of the human body that was programmed by God. All right? We can't go in there and say, ooh, we got a slimy slug over here that can breathe underwater, so let's put some of that bacteria, some of that DNA into a human being. Maybe we won't have to use aqua lungs anymore. Scuba tanks are thing of the past. Be able to breathe underwater. Just take a couple of shots of this stuff. And that's the kind of thing they're doing. I'm not kidding you. They think they can make things from other species, and that's why we're getting these viruses. They're split viruses. They call it crisping. They take and they split a gene from one, and they split a gene from the other with this CRISPR technology, and then they splice them. And then they say, ooh, that's going to make some kind of chemistry that is, I don't know, some kind of mutant tech chemistry that's going to do some crazy thing. Like be able to see out of the back of your head or something. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking they want to do with people. This is not what's... And this is what happened the last time God intervened, and he said, you people are so far out of control, I'm going to flood you all and drown you, and he did. And that's how all of the mud fossils that I have been presenting were acquired the first time. We're about to get another set of mud fossils if you people don't stop doing this and crazy things. God said, I'm the programmer here. I am the programmer. Don't screw with my programs. It's like somebody's writing in SQL, and then another guy coming along and says, oh, no, I can fix this all. I'm going to throw some COBOL or Fortran or some other language in there that has nothing to do with SQL. And then it gets in the middle and says, oh, this is good language. You see, yeah, but we can't understand it. And he says, well, who cares? Put it in there and let's see what happens. And then everything crashes, and it's, next thing you know, all the equipment is smoking and burning. The Japanese manuals, I used to fix all this stuff. I used to say, please not to touch, power supply point A to point B, for it will fume and destruct. I'm telling you, the stuff, the translation is just, they floor me. All right, so let's talk about the appearance, the causes, and the treatment of this baby diarrhea. And I can tell you right now, the treatment is you need to get on probiotics. Now, let's just come down to when you call a doctor. Okay, let's just talk about breastfeeding and infant formula, because this is their digestive system. What is it you're putting in the baby's body, and how is the baby reacting to what you're putting in the baby's body? Because some people breastfeeding, and some people use the infant formula. Some people do some of both. What is the consequences of these different behaviors? Diarrhea is so common that in children under 5-year-old, there are 35 million cases diarrhea each year in the United States alone, approximately 1.7 billion worldwide. Babies and young children experience an episode of diarrhea about twice a year. And we all have this. I mean, nobody's immune from this. But what is the underlying problem? And when you're a baby, what can happen from it? Because it's different when you're a baby. Now, it affects children who take infant formula, those who breastfeed, and babies who take a combination of both, breastfeed and infant formula. Although there are differences. And what are the differences? These studies show that breastfed babies get diarrhea less often than formula-fed babies. So if you breastfeed, your baby is in a more realistic world, and it's getting less diarrhea. Because breast milk is full of antibodies. That's the key. In the breast milk, the mother has already injected into that milk these little chemical packages. That's all they are, is chemistry. And that chemistry roams around that baby's body, and it attaches to something it sees as against you. All right? Boom. And then that chemistry destroys it. Breaks the program that's in that molecule, or kills it. If it's a living thing that it attaches to the antibody, it kills it. If it's not a living thing, it's another program, it disrupts the program. But you have to have these antibodies. And the antibodies really are the product of bacteria normally. And the mother must have the bacteria that creates the good breast milk, and then the baby gets the antibodies that way. So, and this protects these infants against some of the most common childhood illnesses, including diarrhea, and for their whole life. Plus, when a baby is breastfeeding, there's limited exposure to organisms in food and water that can cause stomach infections and diarrhea. Well, the baby's going to be... my kids, I let them chew on anything they want to chew on. I let them eat dirt. I'm telling you, it's good for them. I let them scratch themselves. My wife was going to put little booties on their hands or something. I said, no. I said, let them just live a normal life. And they never have been sick one day. I never remember them being sick ever, not once. Over 30 years old now. And I've never been sick because I did the same thing. I was just a dirt kid. I was just in the woods and eating dirt and just, I was out of control. And I just never got sick either. Anyway, the more a baby breastfeeds, the more protection he receives. Exclusive breastfeeding is better than partial breastfeeding, and partial breastfeeding protects better than full formula feeding. So you're getting your antibodies from your mother. And what are these antibodies? These are chemical kits produced by bacteria, really. But the bacteria don't squirt them out. The bacteria make, well, they do squirt them out, actually. they make the chemistry kits. Right? That's what they do. It's part of their digestion. They make these little molecules, and we call them proteins or whatever, but they're viruses or enzymes. They're both exactly the same thing, and they are nothing more than a chemistry set with an address on it. And that address is targeted at the type of cell that they're dealing with. So it says, we're going to work with the lymph system. It puts this antigen, which is the tag. The antigen is the address. And then the rest of the molecule is the antibody. And the antigen roams the blood system. Poop. It found one that it was against us. And that antigen is the address. It says, oop, you're the guy I'm looking for. Bam. And then the antibody says, oop, there's the spot that I want to attach to. And it comes like this. And it grabs a hold of it and it chews up the molecule. And then it's done. Case is closed for that guy. Well, you need a whole lot of these roaming. And they just keep roaming until they find what they need. And they won't hurt anything unless it has that address. That's my take on it. Now, but once it has that address, it finds it, the molecule attaches. So what does that say? That says that they will just keep doing this, and they will keep recreating themselves because they're going to keep infecting other cells to do this job of making these proteins and these antibodies. And sooner or later, there won't be any need for them. They just stop. That is the key with viruses and enzymes. The enzyme is there to do the job. When the job is done, the enzyme there's no need for it anymore. And they won't be recreated because they won't be infecting other cells. There's no need for them. So they will just, they'll end up closing up shop on their own. Now, you should never have them have to be created in enormous quantities. They should always be sort of lingering around, these enzymes and viruses too, and all these bacteria. They should all be in your body at the same time, and they should never leave any of them. That's the way I'm approaching this. Now, I could be wrong, but I think even if you have just a tiny little bit of some bacteria, and it's the worst case bacteria for you, that's okay, because if your body's healthy, it will keep it from killing you. But if your body is not able to suppress with its chemistry this invasive chemistry, which is some other bacteria that's pretty much, we don't like them in our body, we know they're going to be there, we can beat them up and keep them down, but if we don't have the guys around to fight back at those invaders, we're done. Because sometimes, like this COVID thing, is a split virus. This is something that's a manufactured virus. I'm pretty sure that's the case, and I don't think anybody's denying that, as far as I can tell. Or they're saying it just accidentally happened in some market over there, but apparently it's two viruses attached together, and that's outside of our species. We're not supposed to have that thing have an address to attach to our stuff. And somehow they got an address on there that says, go attach to the human lung cells and destroy them, break them down. because that's what the antigen does. So, I mean, the antibody does. The antigen says, okay, here's the chemistry. There's a lung. Boop. Now what do? The antibody goes in and says, what are we going to do? We're going to attack the surfactant. There's a slimy layer that surrounds the alveoli, which is the holes in your lung, where, like this is a lung, and those holes are where all the air goes through there. And it's layered inside these holes is a slimy fluid. It's called a surfactant. And through that surfactant, the oxygen goes. And that surfactant also allows that hole to open and close like that. It makes it rubbery and elastic. That's what's being caused the problem. So then you can't respirate. And they say they cut them open, and then this slimy, gooey stuff comes out. I've never saw it before. And what it appears to be is it's damaging this subsurfactant or surfactant, whatever you want to call it, that is in these alveoli. And then they say they get a dry cough. Well, something's going on in there, and there's nothing to cough up. But the alveoli say we got issues. And the reason is because this surfactant not only is a slimy layer that lets the air go through and does all the things, the chemistry, but it also has something to do with the way the actual tissues expand and contract. And that's what's going wrong. That's why they have to put these people on ventilators. And then the ventilator causes a damage to the lung because the lung's not able to expand and contract, or something's going on with that. There's chemistry here that can be looked at. There's a lot of things that can be looked at, but anyway. So what you got to do is be healthy in the first case, and then none of this stuff will attack you. If you have the bacteria to fight back in the first place, you're probably going to be okay. But once you've got antibiotics or this MMR vaccine, and now this glyphosate, Stephanie Seneff is deep into the glyphosate thing, and I'm with her 100% on it. She has it. She's working in the chemistry side where the GLY portion of glyphosate affects glyphosol and glycine and all these GLY chemistry in the body. I'm taking it from the fact that the glyphosate is a bacteria killer. So it kills the bacteria that's in your gut, just like it kills the weeds that surround the plants, the Roundup stuff. And they spray it right on the stuff just before you go and eat it. So that's what they do. Not a good idea, I don't think. Okay, my friends, it's Roger once again. This might be the most important video you ever watch in your whole life if you know any people that have babies or you have one yourself. Kids now are getting vaccines when they're like a year old, and they're getting antibiotics to kill ear infections, all kinds of things at a very, very early age, and it's destroying their gut bacteria or whatever happens in their gut. Now, I'm trying to understand the digestion of infants. It is different than the digestion of toddlers and up. 3.5 years old, they say, is where you start into this solid food. Well, here's the deal. In the mother's milk, there is all kinds of enzymes, and those enzymes and antibodies are what protects the baby and makes the baby have a healthy digestion, because the baby doesn't have the digestion apparently to do this on its own yet. It doesn't have the bacteria established, but the mother's bacteria creates the enzyme gets in the baby's fine. Now there's kefir. Because when I heard this, I was working with Marguerite O'Reilly. Her son John Jr. was severely autistic, and after some of this probiotics and a few little chemicals and sulfur and so forth, he's quite a bit better, and he's playing and doing all the things other kids do now. And before that, he was severely autistic. They said he would never have any understanding of life to begin with, and that was it. So we know that this is just not true necessarily, the things that they say every time. Right. Now, my feeling is, and I have had, there's other people that have had the same success. So it's gut bacteria, and they've even had dogs that have had behavioral problems, and then they gave them probiotics. I'm serious, and they had their mood changed. It's complete across the board. Everything, your gut bacteria and your digestion and the absorption of the chemistry that is designed inside your body to do these things. It's a continuous give and take. You have every single one of these destructive viruses and so forth in your body right now. And you have every single one of the good ones in there. And if you have, not necessarily you, but if you're a normal, healthy person, that's what you have. And they should be able to, one, adjust the other. But you're always going to have them there. You're never going to be able to get rid of all of them. So you're continuously in that balancing state, that homeostasis. And then when one bacteria gets killed and it can't do its job, the other one invades that territory, and who knows what happens after that. It might be designed to break down chemistry and then be able to be stopped by other chemistry, and the other chemistry isn't there to stop it, and it continues and runs crazy and breaks down all kinds of chemistry it's not supposed to. But primarily, that's what these things do. Antibodies, they're breakers. They're molecule breakers. So is a virus. An antibody is a molecule breaker. That's what it does. It goes out and it attaches to some destructive molecule, and it breaks it. Or if it's alive, it kills it, and if it's just a molecule, it breaks it. That's what enzymes do, and these are good for you. Viruses do exactly the same thing, but they do them to things that should be left alone. The virus comes in and breaks it. Exactly like an enzyme, it's just that it's against you instead of for you. All right, now, as we come down through the science of infant digestion, one of the main, and it's, physiology, psychology, the whole thing, they talk about this is very good, this article. And then it comes down into what proteins are in there, and the carbohydrates, and the fats, and glycerol, and the glycerol, and the fatty acids. Glycosol is what Stephanie Seneff is focusing on, and she's big into autism too. Now, I've contacted her, and my feeling is the glyphosate, it is a chemical, obviously it's very close to this, and she's really into the chemistry much more than I am. But what I would say was the glyphosate, when they spray it right on the foods just before you eat them, well, that's the stuff that kills the bacteria in your body. Now, she's saying it disrupts the chemistry in your body, and that's fine too. I'm sure it does that as well. But it also, I believe, kills the bacteria, and the bacteria is the thing that creates the chemistry sets that we're going to be missing. All right? And this goes through, this is very good. It talks about where these, on the surfaces of the intestine, and where you absorb all these things. And that's where these bacteria live. It's exactly where they live. And if you don't have them there, you're either going to get invaded or you're not going to be able to absorb what you want. And they go down through the digestive tract. Very, very. Now, this is where I found it very interesting. Is the juices in your body that do all these things. Now, I understood it. I understand a little bit of it, but because these enzymes, it's always enzymes. Enzymes responsible for beginning the digestive of carbohydrates. It's always enzymes. And then the liver, and they call them enzymes, proteins, basically very, very similar. And here's again a glycogen. That's where they store the glycogen, glyphosate. That's what Stephanie Seneff focuses on. And this is in the liver. Now that's something I haven't, and this is actually the largest organ in the body. I didn't know that either. It's in charge of protein and carbohydrate metabolism. Metabolism means eating them up, destroying them. And the storage of glycogen and vitamins. And the vitamins and minerals are the things that float through your body, and they're building blocks, first of all. Secondly, they attach to other molecules and deliver them, especially the minerals, the metals, blood metals really is what it is. It also aids in the formation, storage, and elimination of bile, and plays a role in fat metabolism. All right, all of these metabolism, eating up the fat and getting it out of you, and elimination of bile. Now I got to look into bile a little more. Liver is where toxins are captured and sometimes stored to protect the rest of the body. All right, so we're in there dealing with the toxins. Now, what deals with toxins? Something has to break it down. Now, that's where the bacteria comes in, I believe. Now, another thing you might want to know is that this here, activated charcoal, they give to people that are poisoned. And it goes in. It's got a ton of binding sites because it's activated. It's carbon that has all of the associated chemistry burnt off of it and gotten away from it, so that it's looking to make attachments all over the place. So they put that in. They give that to people that have been poisoned, and it goes in and it attaches to all the poisons in their body and makes them live. So now we got gallbladder, and then we're talking about the regulation, the flow of the bile. And there's a little sphincter, which is a little muscle that allows the stuff to come in and out. And I know that people have gallbladder problem, they have liver disease, pancreatic problems, and this is where there's juices coming in, and alkaline and neutral secretion takes part in offsetting the acidic part in the digestive. See, it's always a give and take. Secretions hold enzymes, that are essential in the absorption of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. The enzymes are the chemistry sets. This is just nothing more than a bunch of chemistry. It goes down and breaks the fats into whatever it has to do to them. Same thing with proteins and carbohydrates. These digestive enzymes are made in the exocrine pancreas. So I got some more work to do here. Many people are more familiar with the hormone insulin, which is made in the endocrine glands of the pancreas. So we got exocrine pancreas and we got endocrine glands. This is kind of a little bit new to me. Breast milk also contains enzymes. Enzymes, I'm telling you, there's enzymes. And enzymes, again, they are nothing more than viruses. Only they are good to you. The virus does something that is harmful to you. And these enzymes help in digestion, such as amylase, lipase, and protease. Anytime you see an A's, normally that's something that goes out and breaks something down. Reductase and all these things. No. This is important in infants, as digestive enzymes are not present at levels found in adults until babies reach the age of 6 months. So they don't have anything in them. So the breast milk contains the enzymes. That's where you're going to get them from. Now, I suppose they must have them in formulas too, because the kids seem to do okay. My kids had formulas. They never had any breast milk, and they were okay. So I don't know about that. Together, the parts of the digestive system work together to take in food, yes, transport it in through the gastrointestinal system, obviously, mechanically and chemically break it down, yes, that's your chewing and your acids and so forth, and they absorb the nutrients. They subtract or remove different chemicals based on what invades them. The chemistry doesn't just go in there and accidentally do this and that. These digestive enzymes are so elegantly constructed that they have a target, and they go and get exactly that piece of chemistry. And when you don't have the bacteria to create the enzymes, you're not going to get this chemistry working for you, and then you're going to be sick, and then you're going to be chronically sick. And then the rest of your body is going to try to respond to that sickness, and then they call that the autoimmune system. Kicking in, oh, yeah, you got an autoimmune system. No, you don't. You have a problem somewhere in your body that is so chronic that your body says, we got to do something about this. The guy isn't doing nothing about this. And he keeps eating the same glyphosate every day. He's killing us. So let's just do whatever we can do. And the whole entire immune system goes insane. That's what they call an autoimmune cytokine storm, where all of your things, all of the little things that go out to do these jobs, just all attack at once. It's like a tornado going into your system. I know I'm running along with this, but it's all of this stuff is very, very good. Healthy gut bacteria, 100%, 100%. Listen to me. I'm telling you. A word from a baby's digestive tract differs from an adult's in several ways and is a process involving many different organisms and multiple steps, from providing digestive enzymes to establishing healthy gut bacteria. Breast milk can get your baby off to a healthy start. So this is obviously, and they say that the most important, when he had breast milk, they were the most healthy. So we close that case right there. And the reason is because it has the enzymes, and the reason is because the mother has the bacteria and creates the chemistry sets which the baby takes in. So we need to get that baby and to have its own chemistry set. And this kefir, they say it's okay for the babies, not because you want to boost your baby's microbiome. You want them being happy and active and bright, cheery, and all that. It makes, it's heartbreaking. It really is. Okay, this is a difficult subject. After really research, it gets harder every day. And what we need to do, it's the bacteria. It says what is often recommended today for babies' first food does not match up with what babies were fed in traditional societies. It's not every day, after all, that you hear a doctor recommend milk kefir, soured grain porridge, or miso as one of the earliest foods for your baby's diet. Now, I'll put a link to this, but what they talk about at the end here, it says, these things have the probiotics that should be set up in your baby's gut, and this is what happens to them. And there was a spot in here that I was going to refer to, but this is the thing that will, at the bottom it says they can give your child a love for flavors beyond sweet, and a child who has the variety, including in the diet for early age, is likely to continue enjoying now probiotic-rich foods later in the life. Because the kids reject a lot of foods. They're very picky eaters, the ones that have autism. And this is what we got to get away from, because autism is just an extreme manifestation of an emotional and a neuromotor function disorder. Right? And both of those things are our health. Your neural function means they stimulate it, and they don't focus. They have all kinds of problems with, and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, all that same stuff. This is all same related, absolutely related. And so you've got the motor neuron issues, and then you have emotional issues and nerve response issues that are related to how your ability to think and to reason and to just interact with your surroundings. That's affected because of the same sort of things. There's some chemistry in you that's required to make all these nerves run just right. And nothing gets out of control, and nothing makes you jump, and nothing makes you real, edgy. Nothing makes you volatile. I have issues. I'm telling you, this is, to me, this is like I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a compulsion to do this video things I'm doing. But I say to myself, am I in trouble mentally with this? And maybe I am, but I can twist it and I say, oh no, this got to be done. Somebody's got to do it. So I'm going to go down that road. But I can tell you, I feel like I do have a compulsion. It's probably not. It wouldn't be healthy if it was something that was other than positive. And I'm doing everything I'm doing, I'm telling you, is positive. And it needs to be done. Somebody got to do it. So that's how I'm going to approach my compulsion. Now, if I was a compulsive gambler or chasing women all the time, that's a different story. I would start to think I have a problem. But I'm going with no problem right at this moment. See? Anybody can twist anything any way they want. So anyway, I'm just hoping people have healthy kids. You know, really it is. It's very emotionally difficult for me on certain days to even do this. Because the problem is, the real difficult part for me is that the people that should be paying attention to things that are absolutely undeniable, and I'm not even specifically talking about this, because if the things that I found here, which are called Mudfossils, I had to open up that university to address this, because the people that should be paying attention to what they should be paying attention to are not. They are paying attention to their own self-interest, which makes they don't want to be seen as, oh, we didn't realize this. Well, they didn't. That's okay. Nobody did. It's just like an accident. It's nothing. It's just an accident, but nobody ever knew this. It's just now it's known. So how do you can't just deny it. Say, well, nobody ever knew this. We're never going to talk about it. You know, this is a goose head. It's a goose's head. That's the feathers. I mean, I've shown all my stuff a zillion times. You see the feather pattern there? And that's the head of a goose. And that's the flat spot on the back. And I have lungs here that have been DNA certified and CAT scanned and anatomists. And I have giant body parts that also have had all of those certifications. So, what time is it? I think it's reality time. You know, once the stuff that I'm showing, because that's just the start of it. There's so much that is wrong, and it's now I am assaulting Yale and Harvard and all of them in the internet realm, saying you people are fiduciary failures at this point. If you're not working for the best interest of your student, which is reality, and confronting reality when it comes to you, DNA tests and specimens and anatomists and all of that to back up what I'm saying, then you're in a realm of fraudulence as far as I'm concerned, which is a fiduciary failure, however you want to look at it. But it's certainly against the best interests of students. So at this point, it's very distressing that they can get away with just not responding. I mean, I've contacted Yale, I've contacted, the top echelon of Yale, not just the professors. They've just ignored it and been kind of nasty about it, and all of them have, not just them. I don't want to point fingers at anybody specifically anymore. And I don't care about specific, that son of a bitch, that type of thing. I don't care about that. I care about, let's just do reality. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I could take it. I got no problem with that. But you have to show, I can show you, I can present every bit of evidence, and it's all chemistry, and it's all biology, and it's all anatomy, and it's just not possible to deny looking at it. You may say, oh, well, you had some other take. Well, maybe I do. But I don't think so. I have so much evidence, it's really literally embarrassing. I have so much evidence that's been overlooked. DNA tests. I mean, oops. Hold on. All right, oops. I have to finish this website up. It's been years since I started. And this is a head. That's an actual head. And this is meat. All right, and then we go deep into the chemistry and the biology. I like that. That was my background a lot. And this is a giant hand. It's 36 inches wide, DNA certified. I've had fingers and so forth CAT scanned. I have both ends of them, the hand and the toes. We got deep into the light and accelerated light. This is light accelerating. You see that? That's acceleration of light. And these are the particles. You see the particles down there? So this, anyway, where was I? The DNA test. Here's the DNA test. And there was 3 of them done. And it was on one of those giant hand, that 30-inch wide, and then there was another one, a giant fingertip, which that was, the hand was 36 inches wide. The fingertip, the hand was 36 inches, the hand was 36 inches wide. The fingertip was 30 inches wide, one fingertip. The whole hand was 36 inches wide. So gigantic, absolutely gigantic creatures, and a lung. And they all turned up to be, and these were ancient protocols. No swabbing out the door. They were extracted deeply from inside after, totally clean extraction, done just the way, all the protocols. And you could use in gene clean, ancient DNA extraction kit, and all this. So this was not any PCR quantitative analysis. I don't know all this stuff. It's all gobbledygook to me. But all I know is the end where he said that they were positive for these signatures of Homo sapien mitochondrial cytochrome B gene and Homo sapien mitochondrial D loop region, and there was no question. I mean, I talked to a guy. I have a discussion with him on the phone. That whatever he tested, and I sent him the stuff. I did the harvest, but I know how to do it, and I did it right. So there's no question it was done right. And if somebody wants to test it, I got him right here. Come on down. So he said what I sent him was no question. It was what he reported back, human DNA, and it was dense. So it's not a joke. And this was almost 5 years ago.